Good.
Hello, my name is Blair Taylor. I'm on the Greater Park Hill Board. The residents of Park Hill have been denied the request for public comment at the Land Use, Transportation, and Infrastructure Committee meetings, both at the June Parks presentation and tomorrow during the approval of the land swap bill. Our request to review the contract and promises between the developer and the city have been ignored. The city has spent months finessing the technical details of this transaction. City representatives always guarantee neighborhood engagement. Where is our seat at the table? It has been a game of musical chairs, and the city has removed Park Hill's chair. The city demonstrates determination to force this land swap. They're gifting land embedded on three sides to a single developer without accommodations for the current and longtime residents. The Greater Park Hill Chair requested in July a pause for decision makers to consider, including provisions of 1, building of the park in the first phase of this development, 2, building the community-produced design, 3, establishment of a neighborhood board to oversee and ensure park rules and uses were inclusive of neighborhood residents, 4, establishment of good neighbor agreements with the developer's tenants, 5, provide some affordable housing units, 6, promote leases to minority-owned businesses, and 7, designation for park zoning immediately after construction. We were told Parks and Rec was handling the deal, and now we have been told that because the Division of Real Estate is handling the swap, only financial considerations will be addressed. For the build-out of the park, the developer is only providing $650,000 in escrow. It's our understanding that this is not enough for a 10,000 square foot pocket park, whose land value alone is approximately $1.3 million. We have been told that special rights are not granted to individuals or organizations as a condition of proximity to parks. And yet a pocket park serves its immediate neighbors. Otherwise, why would the city even entertain moving the park from its current location? Unless it would be more valuable to the developer as an amenity for his tenants. Residents have been directed to start conversations with community planning and development to initiate provisions for affordable housing. If the bill is signed tomorrow, there will be no time to make any provisions. We urge City Council to delay all action in approving this land swap and to work with the community. You can find a way through the red tape and address the impact of this significant development, which will surely encourage further gentrification of this neighborhood and business district. Please consider the importance of this developer-favored deal in Park Hill like it was your own neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Kevin Wygand, and then Nancy Francis.
Hello, thank you for letting me address council. My name is Kevin Wygand. I live at 3090 North Fairfax. I am a licensed architect, I'm a licensed commercial realtor, and I have spent a good portion of my career doing real estate development. But I am here tonight as a board member for the Greater Park Hill Community R&O. Tomorrow, the Land Use, Transportation, and Infrastructure Committee meeting, DPR will be presenting a proposal for a land swap for the 2 parcels of land located at 2800 North Block of Fairfax between HM Capital and the City of Denver. One of these parcels is owned by the city and was purchased for a public park. Before the members of the council who sit on this committee vote on this land swap, there are several key pieces of information you should know. We believe the Park Hill City Council representative and DPR have purposely gone out of their way and spent city funds to support the developer's plans while spreading misinformation and opposing the desires of the citizens of Park Hill. I can tell you as a professional who has spent a significant portion of my career doing infill development deals just like this, that the city is getting taken on this deal and giving over $1 million worth of value to an out-of-town developer who's doing nothing for our community. Here are just a few things that our city officials have done to exclude the residents of Park Hill from taking part in determining the future of their park. Number 1, they organized, sponsored, and used city funds to hold a community meeting for the sole purpose of allowing the developer to sell his development. When Greater Park Hill Community R&O requested to also present at this city-funded community meeting, the facilitator told us that the council sponsor would not let Greater Park Hill R&O speak at the community meeting. 2, the adjoining property owner who lives in the neighborhood and operates a family-owned business offered to enter into a public-private partnership with city, DPR, and pay for the building of the park. This property owner sent a letter of inquiry to the City of Denver Division of Real Estate and District 8 Council office, which included which was included in this proposal. His letter has been ignored by all city agencies. The question residents of Park Hill are asking is, why would city representatives ignore an offer from an adjoining property owner, again, one who lives in the neighborhood and operates a neighborhood business, and vehemently support an offer from an out-of-town developer? 3, during this whole process, when Greater Park Hill and its residents asked the city representatives for the status of the land swap, both the councilman and DPR would say there was no deal in place. It was discovered by a reporter of the Greater Park Hill News through Cora that a letter of intent had been submitted 6 months earlier and was signed by both the developer and the city. The question is, why did the city representatives hide this from the citizens of Denver? 4, the proposal for this land swap is being presented to committee tomorrow, despite the written request from Greater Park Hill R&O to have an opportunity to review this contract and give feedback before it was submitted to council. We have never seen the contract. These items are just some of the highlights of dishonesty, misinformation, purposeful exclusion of the citizens of Denver.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wiegand, your time is up. And next up, we have Nancy Francis.
My name is Nancy Francis, and I'm here to speak to you about the 2800 Fairfax land deal. I'm speaking today for 2 reasons. First, the Ludi Committee will consider this bill tomorrow. They have declined our request for public comment. Second, and more important, you still have the opportunity to take on the challenge of gentrification this deal presents to you. Fairfax is a story of 2 separate processes, the cities and the neighborhoods. Park Hill's September 2017 R&O meeting was eventful. The city presented the Fairfax land swap as a take it or leave it proposition. There would be no Fairfax Park without this deal. Neighbors spontaneously and enthusiastically responded with an alternative for the city to partner with us rather than with the developer to build our park. Neighbors would provide fundraising, volunteer labor, and expertise, and so on. We made good on our offer. We began in October with an open neighborhood meeting to gauge interest and express our differences. We invited the city. No one came. We passed a resolution on November 2nd asking the city to keep the Excel parcel, designate it, and collaborate with the community to build a park. No one responded. We conducted a community design process led by neighborhood volunteer architects, and we produced a park design. We delivered our document to the city. No one responded. The city not only ignored our efforts, they spent money to duplicate every one of them. They held their own October meeting where they let the developer present his plan while denying our request to present the community approach. They signed, also on November 2nd, a letter of intent with the developer. They concealed this serious promise from our community. Despite having received our design, they spent $30,000 to hire a vendor who conducted a duplicate series of meetings and produced 3 entirely different designs. Isn't this silly and wasteful and disrespectful to our citizens? We hear from our newer, richer, whiter neighbors. They want the developer's upscale vision and boutique amenities. We hear from our older, more middle class and blacker neighbors disappointment about tearing down the entire east side of the block and the loss of small community-owned businesses. And they wonder if their families will be welcome in the embedded park. Members of council, this is the process and struggle of gentrification playing out on one block and one neighborhood. Why can't this be an opportunity to do better? Yes, people are angry. Yes, it's hard to hear your neighbor call your block blighted, and it's also hard to hear your neighbor call out your white privilege. But social issues involve difficult conversations. You have an opportunity to show leadership. Before you allow the city to bring the Fairfax public-private deal to council, I ask you to invite Park Hill citizens to present our proposal for a community-centered collaborative process to you. Give us an equal seat at the table, not the 2-minute soundbite. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our general public comment session. Thank you for attending. Our regular city council meeting will start at 5:30.